All right, today we're going to make this little lantern here, and releasing this right now because it's getting darker out earlier, and we're going to have a time change coming up. And this can also easily be made into a jack-o'-lantern if you want to. Instead of cutting the windows in, you just cut a face in there. And if you want to, you can just spray it with the orange paint. And if you want to burn it and then paint it with the orange paint, that's what it's going to look like. Okay? So having said all that, let's get to it. All right, so here we have our 1x10, exactly 3 feet long. It's 3/4 of an inch thick and 9 1/4 after it's planed down. That's how it comes. Okay, so I'm quickly going to break down the layout here. So these are going to be 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. There's going to be 2 of them. You can see I've marked the blade kerf on there, so that's going to disappear when you put it through the blade. This is going to be the back, and it is 8 3/4 across and 5 1/4 that way. This one is 10. This is one of the sides, and that is what is left over after the blade kerf, which is 3 7/8. Now I would ordinarily have this one over here, but I had to move everything around because of this big knot here, so just kind of bear with me. This piece here is going to be for the top, so it's going to be 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. This is going to be the front, which again is 10 by 5 1/4, and this side piece is going to be the same as that one. This is waist, and this is waist here. Anyway, just follow how I cut through it, and then you'll be able to figure it out. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to make this into smaller pieces because we got these going right across. We're going to cut this into 3 pieces before we stick it through the table saw. Okay, so now you don't have to worry about doing all this layout. Just kind of go by the steps I'm going by. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cross cut here at exactly 10 inches. The blade, of course, is going to go right through there. Okay, there's our front and one of our sides. And the next cut over is going to be at 13 1/8. Okay, there's our back, one of our top pieces, and one of our sides. And these are our 2 bottom pieces. Let's put all 3 of them through the table saw before we start the rest of the cross cuts. Okay, so I'm going to put the blade at 5 1/4, so both of our front and back are going to be the same. Okay, so there's our 2 sides, front and back. And then we're going to take this, it's the 2 bottom pieces. I'm going to move it over to 6 1/4. Okay, back over to the miter saw. Okay, so these don't have to be perfect, but they're going to end up being 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. So I'm just going to put the blade right down through the middle of that. And it might be a little different if you have a thin curved blade, but this is relatively where we want to be. Top and bottom. Our front is already done. Now we're going to cut this one. It says it's about 8 13/16. I'm going to leave a little bit of gap at the bottom to be able to get the batteries in and out. It does not have to be perfect. Our back, and this is going to be one of our top pieces, so we're going to square it off. So it's 4 1/4. So I've already measured over 4 1/4, so now I'm going to cut that. So this is our piece of that we're not going to use here. And then we just need to make our last side. So we're going to cut this piece off. And just like the other side in the front, it's going to be at exactly 10. All right, so now we're going to do the layout for the front. This is where we're going to put the little windows in it. Now this is where if you want to make like a jack-o'-lantern type thing, you would put your jack-o'-lantern face in there and cut it out. It's the same exact process. But I'm going to make a more traditional lantern here. So measure up 2 inches across with our speed square. And then on the top and the insides, I'm going to measure up 3/4, or measure in 3/4. Okay, and then the inside there, we're going to have 7 1/4 to play with. So half of that is 3 5/8. 3 5/8. 3 5/8. Okay, now we're going to go 3/4 inch. So we're going to go 3/8 there and 3/4 there. That's going to give us our halfway point. Halfway across here is 5 1/4, so that's about 2 5/8. Okay, same thing. Put it on 3/8. None of this has to be precise. We're just kind of making it symmetrical as we can. Okay, now we'll just leave those and we'll cut those out with the jigsaw. Now we're going to make the markings on the sides. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to measure up 2, measure down 3/4. And then on these ones, we're going to go in 1 and 1/8 because we're only doing one window on the sides. I guess I could have just done this the whole time, man. Just measured in and from the sides, not worried about top or bottom. But anyway, there we go. So we're gonna cut those out with the jigsaw. So both sides are gonna be the same. Front's like that, and the back you're not gonna do anything with. All right, so here we are. I got my pieces laid out here, and I'm going to just quite simply cut out the openings. So I'm gonna use a 5/16 brad point drill bit just to cut, just to drill the corners. Okay, so I'm going to do that with the rest of them, and then I'm just going to get some sandpaper and just clean them all up on the inside, and then we'll come back and we'll put it together. Okay, so we got our pieces all sanded down and ready to assemble here. So before I start doing any real assembly here, I am going to put some glue, some Titebond 3 on the tops of the end grains here. While I'm assembling it, it will be drying, it'll be setting in a little bit. Because end grains, you need to put a little extra on there because it's the weakest part. And it really likes to absorb glue. All right, so while that's absorbing in there, I give it 5 or 10 minutes. So now I'm going to take my front piece, get her on there, and I'm going to use 1 1/4 inch brad nails for this. You can see, you probably can't see too well on the camera, but it's really been absorbed in there. This one's still a little bit wet, but the rest of them, I'm going to add a little bit more here. I got to go this way. So I'm going to turn the front facing you guys. So I am assembling the top first. I'm just doing it in the opposite way that I thought. The other way would be if you put screws in it. Okay, so I'm going to go 1/2 inch all the way around. The back is going to be a little bit less than 1/2 inch, but we don't care about that because the back is not going to be exposed. Okay, so we're giving that a minute to soak in there. I'm going to just get into my water here and clean up some of the squeeze out so it doesn't get all dried into the wood. If you're painting this, it's not that essential. If you're staining it, it's very essential. Not really going to worry about it on the inside other than if there's a big run. Okay, so it's had a bunch of time to absorb in there. A little bit more on. Same thing, 1/2 inch all the way around. Clean up the squeeze out. So now we're going to put the top piece on, so make sure we get the nicest side facing forward, the nicest side facing up. For this one, we're going to go 1 inch all the way around. Now, if we want to go even higher than that for a 3rd tier, we have another piece that we could do that with. All right, so it's all dried now. So then we're going to burn it. Not going to get too carried away on the inside. I just want it to make sure that it doesn't look completely different than the outside. All right, so here we are. And then talk about a couple different options we have here for the light. And then I'll put the hook in. Okay, so I came up with 3 different kinds of lights. One is just this little lantern that I had. And then you can just set it inside. And then I got these fairy lights that I put in a peanut butter jar. And so you can either put one in or you can double stack them. Now this kind of makes it, what do I do with the back kind of a question, because you got to be able to get these in and out. So you might put no back on it. This is the back that we cut. In this instance, I think I would do that. I'd permanently fasten that in, and then I would just have this so I could slide it in and out, maybe by putting brackets like these to hold it in, or putting a hinge on it or something to that effect. But I'm not going to do that, because I thought about it, and I did pick up this little color changing puck light at the dollar store. And so I'm going to just fasten this piece on at the top like that. And then you can just slide this in and out and change the batteries. So that's what I'm going to do, but those are the options that you have to work with. Okay, and now if I want to hang it up, I'm going to get my drill bit here for just the size. of the bolt that it is. Whenever you're doing this, you want the drill bit to be exactly the size of the bolt, not the threads. The threads are what's going to hold it in, because otherwise you're going to split everything. All right, there you go. I made this out of a 1x10 by 3 feet, which this is a 4-footer. So I did a little research to kind of give you guys as much info as I could afterwards. And you guys can let me know in the comments, but this is a Home Depot Canada thing as far as I can tell. This is what they call a shelf board. If you go through the stacking, you'll find some pretty good ones. So that's just what I was using, assuming that it would be readily available for everybody. But I looked online in the US and couldn't find them. So you're either going to have to come up with something similar, or if you want to make it very cost effective, just kind of downsize it a little bit and use a fence picket. But if you're in Canada, yeah, just go to the Home Depot. But if you're in North Bay, Ontario, do not do that because they're poisonous and only I may touch them. Yeah, so just for the record, I used 3 feet of the 4-foot one to make it. All right, so now to deal with weatherproofing. When you burn it like this, that releases the creosote in the wood and that makes it pretty weatherproof. You can also throw paint on it, throw finish on it, or whatever you want. As far as the lights are concerned, if you use the fairy lights, that's going to be pretty weatherproof. And that one's pretty weatherproof as well. This one is going underneath a roof, so it doesn't matter if it's not going to get rain on it. But this one I would not say is very weatherproof. All right, guys, we're getting really close to being able to put this 6 up there. So please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have already, thank you so much. And please like this and leave us a comment. Also, we are launching our DIY channel finally. We've been working on it for a while. And basically the DIY channel is just everything that's not woodworking. Because I do a lot of stuff that I don't want to taint the woodworking channel with the DIY stuff. So we're going to be linking to it for the very first time. So please go over to it and subscribe and help us to grow it. All right, thank you. And there's the box to click on the other channel.